Paskin David is actually, he works in you run a children's camp, children's center,
It's a
something with a
school.
lot of children, a
It's
school.
a
Oh, okay.
we have a bunch of different school programs that I run. So we are now live.
Okay, terrific. So welcome everybody to this month's episode gathering Ecamm for Educators, where we wanted to talk about these presentation besties that at least I use them all the time. Ecamm and Zoom. I'm sorry, not Ecamm and Zoom. We do use Ecamm and Zoom too, but Ecamm and Keynote together. I myself am an educator at a university, and the two things just work so well. And last month we talked about it, and every month we decide what are we going to talk about next month. So this month the topic choice was blending Ecamm and Keynote. So I'm curious, how many of you, just so I know a rough starting point, are already using Ecamm and Keynote together, but maybe want some more advanced level tips? So Tim, I see your hand is up with that. You're already using Ecamm with Keynote, David as well. And if you can put it in the chat too, if you'd rather, if you don't want to unmute and share, but just wondering, does that mean everybody else, this would be, you have not yet started to use Ecamm and Zoom? Raise your hand if that's you, or digital hand if you have not yet really started to work on Ecamm and Keynote together.
David Hunt needs to learn Keynote.
Needs to learn Keynote. Okay.
No, you
Right.
don't, David Hunt.
And Fab, you're evaluating Ecamm. Oh, cool. Welcome. Well, many of us are also willing to have other conversations in addition to today to help you make a decision or just show you. We're always willing to chat. I know David and I are usually
We're
available
gonna
to
hook you
connect.
up, Fab. We got you.
Christian, you're using Google Slides with Ecamm. Yeah, and we could use anything. We could use Canva, we can use PowerPoint. I mean, that's the beauty of it all. And the reason we say Keynote is because it comes with, and I learned it. I've been very comfortable with it. So really, it's ultimately whatever tool you're comfortable with. But I do want to show you something today that Keynote will offer that's pretty valuable. Recently, I was preparing this lesson, and I'm just going to walk you through the scenes. So this is a scene in Ecamm. This is not the Keynote part yet, but I started with this countdown. And then I welcomed everybody to the class, and I said, yeah, you're here to talk about fast and unforgettable openers. I was teaching a lesson as a guest speaker in somebody else's class about the first 5 minutes, opening activities. So I've created these scenes inside of Ecamm, but I don't always want to run everything in Ecamm because Ecamm is fantastic, but not always the most helpful when it comes to transitions or presenting ideas on the screen. Like you have to hide and unhide things. So what I did instead is I designed Keynote. So what you see in blue and black to the side of me is a Keynote presentation that I'm showing directly inside of Ecamm as a screen share, right? So we have, and now I also have on one, and I'll show you all of this stuff in just a second, but I have Keynote open in a way that allows me to have it as a window rather than having it take over everything on my screen in presentation mode. So I have it open as a window only, which is the window that, hi, Anne Marie, which is the window that I'm sharing with you guys here. And then I also have a separate screen, which allows me to see a bit of a presenter mode where I can see my next slide, any notes that I want on there. And that one I have set up in front of me. So when my keynote, my actual keynote is to one side of me, but I don't want to just constantly be looking at this. So in front of me, I've got my controls so that I can navigate and I see what's coming next. So I'm talking and I do use a Stream Deck to control things, but you can use your mouse or your keyboard to control Keynote as well. But I graduated up to the Stream Deck level as I expanded in experience in Keynote. So I'll here I am teaching my next lesson. I'm talking about creating a warm and welcoming environment for your audience. But then I also share the concept like it is possible to take it a little too far, right? So these are the concepts that I design inside of Keynote. And Here's a really great example why I love using Keynote compared to Ecamm for certain things. Now, I'm always using Ecamm, right? Ecamm is the tool I'm using for everything. But to display my slides and share my content, I do use Keynote. And it's because when I'm sharing a concept like this, I don't want to overwhelm my listeners, in my case, students. I don't want to overwhelm them, but I want to present one idea at a time. If I wanted to do this inside of Ecamm, I would have to hide and unhide aspects of that scene. And it's just not as intuitive as clicking the next, because Ecamm doesn't yet allow you to go to the next overlay, like it does allow you to go to the next scene. So I will, oops, I actually clicked next scene by accident. But I'll then I talk about I was teaching the concept of these audience zones where I don't want them to be checked out. I don't want them panicking. And comfortable sounds good, but I really want people to be a little bit uncomfortable where they're in this other zone of engaged and learning. Because if they're too comfortable, it might feel a little bit boring or too familiar. So, as an educator, I do want to be challenging them and helping them. And so, showing this stuff in Keynote allows me to have this kind of more granular control, being able to bring up one concept at a time more easily that I could do directly inside of Ecamm. So then
Can
I,
I
sh-
just jump in real quick with a, is it okay?
yeah, of course.
Sorry. So I just wanted to share that these slides that you've made are in 4:3. Um,
Correct.
and I actually did an event a couple weeks ago, and they had built all of their slides in 4:3, and it drove me a little crazy because I would never suggest doing 4:3 unless you're doing exactly what Tatiana is doing. Because in Ecamm, by having your slides 4:3, that gives you more space for your camera on the side. In fact, Tatiana even has a little more room. If she really wanted to, she could stretch her camera out. But if your slides are 16:9, which is sort of the traditional size, that in order to get your, so just by way of example, this is basically a 16:9 share. I
It's
mean,
like a
this, I don't
wide
have it
screen.
launched right now, but you get the idea, right? It leaves less space for my camera than it does if I did a 4:3, or maybe more importantly, gives more room to my share. So, and I just wanted to point that out, Tatiana, because this
Yeah.
is the one good use of 4:3, if you ask me.
And it's a good point. I mean, by default, most presentations are 16 by 9. I have started to create them more cropped in, this 4 by 3 ratio, because I don't need them to be widescreen. Right? It's not like that room in my lesson is helpful to have it as a widescreen. And it's very much like when we share in Zoom, there's only so much room for us. Even though in Ecamm we can have more space for us. I don't mind switching it up and having a different ratio for the presentation because you saw my content. There's not a ton of stuff, which is how I teach my students to design slides anyway, is to not be notes. It's more about specific things one at a time. But yes, my this particular slide is a 4 by 3 ratio, whereas most slides are going to be a wide screen 16 by 9. So, and I can also show you a 16 by 9, or somebody else wants to share a slide deck too, and how I'll set that up. But so it makes it really nice. Here I am navigating through in Keynote via Ecamm. And then I can go through, and now here I have a lot of text, so I go concept by concept. Next. I talk about the purpose, I talk about the people, I talk about the plan, and then how I think based on my learnings and the people that I follow, all the things I've learned about how I want to set up this particular presentation. Right. So that's a and then I can also have some blank slides programmed in for just discussion points, or I can throw anything on here. But I can do these same exact things within Ecamm scenes. The trick is then my Ecamm profile becomes humongous because I've got all of these elements in here, animations and graphics and videos and all of these things. And it's not as easy for me on any of my computers to change something in a profile. I have to be on a specific computer Whereas if I'm in Keynote, I can access, or any presentation tool, I can access every single one of those slide decks and make adjustments as I need to. So when I started, using Ecamm, I was continuously only using Keynote. Then slowly transitioned and built more scenes. So I'll show you one like when I'm talking to my students about certain topics. This is built within Ecamm. So this is a scene I've created inside of Ecamm. I can do all of this inside of Keynote, and it helps me to keep things more organized. So having tested both, I'm definitely leaning more towards using Keynote to have my slides, to screen share my slides via Keynote. I have found for my personal preferences and workflows, it makes it easier. And again, if you don't prefer Keynote, replace that with whatever presentation tool you want, and it would be the similar thing. So I do want to show you behind the scenes here. So I do want to show you live demo mode so that you can so here's me starting live demo mode, so you're going to see everything in the background here. And my scenes, I do have folders, right, for all this stuff because I've built in so many slide decks and things into here, but then they get big and they get bulky. So when I'm here, it's like this is a lot, and I'm starting to get lost in my classes because it's too much. Versus if I have it in Keynote, I can just have the Keynote ready and it doesn't bulk this up as much. And I do want to show you the Keynote scene so you can see what's inside of that scene. So this is and everybody's going to have a different way to a naming convention. This is me plus Keynote Mac Mini crop, because sometimes I'll share Keynote on something else. So that's just the way my mind thinks. It's me plus Keynote on the Mac Mini cropped because it's the 4:3 versus the 16:9. So that's just what helps me. And what's inside of this scene is here, and the window that I'm shaking. And it's got I always have video pencil on here so that I can do telestration, writing on my screen. But here I've got this little fire thing that I chose not to put in. Actually, let me bring this forward because this will be a little bit more helpful so that you can see that. Let me just lock this scene as I move it so that I don't have problems. So just to show you what we're looking at here, this scene, and let me go to a slide deck that actually has some content on it. So here, right, I've got my screen share, which is set to show Keynote. And even within Keynote, I choose the presentation slide. And I have to do this right before it's go time. I've tried setting it up, and then when I go back to it, it looks weird. So as soon as it's go time, okay, I've got my Keynote up. I've chosen this versus presenter display. This is the presenter display. Let me see. How come it's not showing it to you? Keynote. Keynote presenter display. I thought it would show, I thought if I chose presenter display, it would show you. But anyway, so back over here to Keynote, and I will show you presenter display here. So you guys should be seeing, this is presenter display, right? The thing that I'm shaking over here, which tells me I've got this slide playing right now. This is what's coming up next. And if I had any notes, it would show me in this space right here. So that's what I've got in front of me so that this is what I see. And then as I navigate through, even though my Keynote slide deck is over to the left. And so let me just put that away for now. So you see the screen share. This was a comment that shared in class. Then my camera, my camera, and actually I just realized you're not seeing what I'm talking about. So you see the screen shares on the right, and let me unlock it so I can share, show and hide. So the screen share, then there's the camera, right? And if I'll just hide all the things we're talking about, and then I've got two elements in my background: these white circles, the white bubbles, plus the rectangle, and then I'm actually going to change my source to just be blank. So here you see nothing. So adding it in layers from the bottom up. I've got my color background. I've got these white circles. I've got my camera angle here, which can be adjusted, made a little bit bigger, and my screen share for my keynote slide here. And then some comments and another fire thing that I thought about adding it on here. I thought it wasn't necessary, so I decided to just hide it. But those are the elements inside of this scene, right? These are the overlays inside of this scene where I'm choosing to share my keynote. So I will end live demo mode. So we kind of go back to normal mode here and we can chat a bit because I know Geraldine might have said something in the chat. Okay, I can see the benefit of using Keynote versus the hide unhide feature of Ecamm. Ideally, Geraldine, I would love the hide unhide feature to work just a little bit. I mean, it works well, but I would like to be able to press a button that unhide the next one, unhide the next one, unhide the next one, unhide the next one. And I haven't found that it's there yet. So I do prefer that. But I feel like I've been talking quite a bit, so let's open up the floor for thoughts or responses or questions or anything what I've demoed so far with how I'm sharing Keynote.
So I see this script that David posted in the chat. Could you talk to us a little bit about that, Dave?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share that. So I put that there just if anyone needs it. So this is a case that has happened for me a few times. I had a big presentation I was putting together last week, and as I always do, I started by using my slides as my notes, which you should never do, but that's how I started. And then once I realized I was doing that, I immediately copied all the notes down into the presenter notes and then put images and things like that up above. But then once I had done that, I realized that I don't really need my presenter notes there. I really want them in my prompter software because I'm going to be using it for this particular thing. I'm going to be using a prompter. And so this is just a quick script that allows you to export all of your speaker notes from Keynote, and it just dumps them into a text file so that then you can just copy that and paste it into prompter, or if you want to put it in a Google Doc, or however you want to do it. It's just because there's no built-in way to export all your presenter notes from Keynote. So this is just something I found that I thought might be helpful. Rotary is saying running
Thank you,
Keynote.
David, for that. Just want to say thank you because that can be really helpful, especially as we start to build. Like one case where I think I can use that right now is I'm creating assets on Teachers Pay Teachers because I want to start making some content to sell for other professors. And I got to take the notes out, use them for something else because the notes only make sense for me.
Right.
So I think that this will be helpful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So what Tatiana was showing is sharing using Keynote as a screen share in Ecamm. I do it the way that Rotary is suggesting in the chat. Rotary is suggesting that for him, running Keynote on a separate machine using an HDMI capture card and then bringing that into Ecamm as a camera source is a good solution. So I've got my main computer here, which has running Ecamm and Zoom. And I have what I'm calling my content computer over here, which just has Ecamm on it. And the way I've set up in my workflow is that this screen that I wonder if I could show it to you actually. This screen that is kind of, sort of, not really. Over here, I can't tell if you could, oh yeah, you can't see that. This is going to be where my Keynote is. And I have it set up so that this screen is basically mirrored as a camera source in Ecamm. So when I switch over now to this camera source, you can see it's white because it's just bringing that whole screen in. And what I like about this is that I know every time that whatever's on this screen is going to come through. Whether it's full screen or not, it's showing up. I never have to guess. I don't have to wonder, is it on that screen, this screen? anything that's on the screen, good, bad, or otherwise, is going to show up. And then I think that um, Rotary, you're right. What's nice about this is that it also allows you to have separate controls, right? So I can scroll through. I actually have one, what do you call it? I have one Stream Deck connected to this computer and another one, so I can have separate controls. Everything kind of has its place, and so on and so forth. So that's really convenient. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that you all know that one of the new moves, the new transitions that we got, what do they call it? Live motion. That was completely inspired by Keynote. In fact, I wonder if I can.
Magic move.
Magic
Magic
move.
move. Yep,
Oh,
yep,
magic
that's
move. What did
right,
I call it?
David.
What did I say?
No,
I
live
don't know.
motion was inspired by Magic Move.
Right, right. So here's the right. These are all just coming in, yada yada yada, and then when you set up Magic Move in Ecamm, this is an example of that, right? So this is going from one scene to another scene, and it's automatically sort of making that zoom out effect that you had, and that's what we can do now with our very own live motion over in
Absolutely.
Ecamm, which
Absolutely.
is kind of cool.
Huge improvement. And so you have the option of a screen share, or you have the option of a camera share, right? So sharing, and to show you exactly what we're talking about, let me just go to live demo mode in case some of you guys are not familiar. So the one that I showed you is a screen share, which is, so when you are down here, just open up my cursor so we can see this too. When you're here, and just remember, scenes are like the rooms of your house. Overlays are the contents inside of that room. So when I'm sharing that keynote that I was sharing earlier, you can see that this is a screen share overlay, and that's what the little computer icon here is. That will add a new screen share overlay versus the video camera looking one is a camera overlay. So I have also set up my iPad, a separate iPad that I have, to be a camera. Let me just select Tatiana's iPad 3, which it is not connecting. Weird. Okay, just do a quick. I have it connected via a cable, but for some reason it is not picking it up. Let me see. Okay, there it is. I don't know. I unplugged it, replugged it, and we're good. So I have my iPad here now as a camera overlay. Right, so I'm just going to hide it so you see what I mean. I've brought this in, and I've got Keynote running on my iPad. So quickly I can tap on it, navigate through. So there's only 2 slides in this particular slide deck, but you can see I can open up what I'm talking about. Let's talk about open up supporting materials on here, right? And you can see it's mirroring everything I do on my iPad. So it's just another way of sharing this as a camera source. So when it's go time up here, I click play, and it's going to start navigating through the content. Unfortunately, it does not pick up the fonts, but same thing. I tap on the iPad, I navigate through the slides now here as a camera source. And then for all the reasons we explained, if you have a separate device, this is probably a safer, more secure, less stressful option. But we still have the option of running things as the screen share overlay if you want to screen share Keynote directly. So hopefully that helps at least give you an introduction. And I know, right, when you're here, it's one mode, but then when you actually pull out Keynote and Ecamm and start to play around, it's another. But as a recap, in your scenes, you can add either screen share overlays or camera overlays if you have a device like another computer that you connected through an HDMI or a cam link. I do that with my laptop as well. especially when I need to demo things on my laptop, I'll connect my laptop directly as a camera source coming in.
Hey, here's one more little keynote trick thing, which a lot of us used to do before Video Pencil came out. We used to do this hack, but it's still a great hack for keynote. So if you create a keynote with a green screen colored a chroma key color background, then what you can do is you can bring the keynote in on top of yourself and then just have things sort of fly into your scene so that now you're not sharing anything at all. You're just the overlays are right there with you in your scene, and you can actually point to things and ooh, look, here's a Shure mic and here's a Behringer Flow and yada yada, all that other stuff. This is for me, I found I used to do this a lot, and I found that this is a great way to not use your presentation as notes, because you literally can't have your notes on the screen when you've got other people here. But it's a really effective, I found it to be a really effective tool. For me, the goal with a keynote is always to keep the speaker front and center. The slides are never more important than the person presenting the slides. And so this is a great way to do that. And it's literally as simple as just build your scene, your slides on a green background. And in fact, I'll grab the official chroma key colors to pop in the chat for you, Arthur.
Great. Thanks, David. And yeah, so I've created slide decks that have a green background. So you can see it here. You see all the green stuff, right? But if I go, let's do live demo mode again. If I go into my overlay for my iPad, which is the camera source that I'm bringing in with the green screen, and I click the little gear icon to bring in my options, I go to blend mode. No, it's not blend mode. Is it blend mode? Is it,
There's a green screen button right up there,
where is it? Because I'm missing it.
above opacity.
Above, oh, no, that's a show guest name.
Oh, sorry. Is this is this a camera share or a overlay?
Let's see, my iPad. Oh, I'm sorry. That's because I was clicking on the wrong thing. All right, guys. So when I click on, no, I am clicking on my iPad.
If it's a camera, it's going to be in camera effects.
It's a camera effect.
So you have to go into your camera effects panel. No. Go into the camera effects panel. You're looking in that's the overlay panel.
I'm in the camera effects panel. Okay.
Right.
All right, guys. Right. So when it's a camera overlay, drag this down. So you see all of my things here. So this little checkbox here has to be checked for green screen. And I am going to make it transparent as well. So green screen, and then it's going to have a transparent background here. So when I click play, and I can adjust with the Alt Option key, I can drag these like bigger or smaller. I would say this is not the greatest. There's not enough contrast in this, but just to illustrate the point where you can design these so that they have that transparency like a green screen. So let's go to my camera here. And where did my camera effects panel go? Window, camera effects. There you are. And I've selected my iPad. Right, and then if that is unchecked, then you're gonna see, everybody will see it exactly as I designed it, which is green. But when you apply the green screen effect, then you have that option to allow that. So I've done the same thing where with something like Stream Alive tools, where I make it back we can save that conversation for another day. But that is yet another option that you have with Keynote, and making it come across as if it was just on screen without any background. So great tip, David. Thank you. That's nice.
By the way, you mentioned Stream Alive. Zoom just announced, it's not out yet, but it will be coming out soon, a brand new tool called the Zoom Graphics Toolkit, which is going to work just like Streamalive and some of these other tools. It's going to let you bring chat and polls and emojis and all that stuff into the stream. Now we can do a lot of that with Ecamm, but this is going to be what we can do supercharged. So that's the link to it. So I should have a beta later this week, and I can, if anyone wants to jump on with me, I'm happy to show you
I
what I can
definitely
do. But
I definitely do, David, because I talk a lot about Stream Alive and I know the Stream Alive people and all of that. So
yeah,
this could potentially be
yeah,
a
it could be really cool.
wow.
So
That is so great. So David Hunt had a question in the chat too. If you're only using one computer, can you not just use the Keynote Stream Deck buttons?
yeah, so I think that question is about. It's a great question actually, because Rotary up above talked about using a clicker on the other machine to advance the slides without losing mouse control over Ecamm. One of the tricky things here is that um, if you're using official Stream Deck plugins, the official, is there, I don't even know if there is an official Keynote plugin, but the official plugins, then
There is, but it's very limited.
okay,
On the Stream Deck, yeah, it's just
but
got a
if
few
it's
things on it.
official, meaning that's if it's by Apple, then what that means is it was built using the APIs or using the SDK, excuse me, from Apple, which means that whether it's the active app or not, it will register those keystrokes. If it's a third-party app, a plugin, it may still be wonderful, but it may not always get those keystrokes. Zoom, by the way, has a brand new, they just announced, I don't know what the heck they've been doing, but they just announced a brand new official Zoom plugin for Stream Deck. So the question is, if you, right. So the question though is, if you, so it's just showing us her Stream Deck, if Keynote is not the active app and you press those, does it still work?
Let's find out. I can test that right now. So there are very, very few keys in the Stream Deck Keynote tool. So it's literally just next, next, prior, first, last. That's really it. So let me just put the cable back in its place here. And I've got Ecamm and Ecamm for Zoom as my front window, and I just want to know it is still controlling my keynote. It is, even though, and let me just do, what other app can I bring up? I'll bring up Mac Whisperer so that's the app that's right on top, and I'm going to put my mouse right inside of it. Yes, it is still moving my keynote. So the Stream Deck, you don't have to have the keynote on top in order to control the keynote with the Stream Deck keys. Confirmed. That's cool. Discovering that. Nice. Nice, nice. Hey, Matt. Hi,
Hi, everyone.
class.
Just popped in to
Welcome.
say hello. Been a while since I've been in this group. I love this group. Love
Yay.
Ecamm.
Us too. So glad you're here. And if any of you guys know Video Like a Dad, this is a t-shirt that I have from his company. Anyway, he edits with Adobe Premiere. I believe he's Adobe Premiere editor. But yeah, Rotary also tested it and it works. So that's two of us. So two confirmations that Keynote does not have to be the presentation on top in order for you to use it with. And I'll go back to my Fire Up here where I'm sharing. So here's what I was doing before. And let's just say I'm running the show, things get crazy, I'm all over the place, and I've got some other app on top. If I scroll through this, you guys are seeing that I'm advancing even though I have another tool on top. So that is helpful. And this is a screen share overlay, not a camera overlay. And it still works. Oh, nice. He said he learned it from Alec Johnston. Very good. Terrific. That's awesome to find that out. So I hope that this provides at least an introduction to you. But I did want to show you guys one
Can I,
other thing
before we do that, can I
inside.
just ask? I'm curious if how others are using it. I mean, this is how the two of us use it, but maybe we're doing it wrong. I don't know. Like, are there other people that are using Keynote or Slides or Power? I don't really care what the app is, but and using it in different ways and maybe
Yeah, or
ways that are more.
in your teaching, in your education,
Yeah.
or in it, and like many of you said, you haven't launched using it yet. How would you considering using it? Rotary says same way you are. Okay, awesome.
Rotary, you can unmute for goodness sakes. You're right. You're on cat. Come on down. Come on down. Oh, we can't hear you though. Uh-oh. Yeah, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you for some reason. That's strange.
I will say it's good to know where those green screen buttons are, because if it's a camera effect, like David said, it's in that one area. If it's on an overlay, it's in another area. I was on a live stream as a guest, and I shared my screen, and I was showing a lot of my thumbnails, and green is my color, and they were all dropping out, and we couldn't
Oh
figure
no.
out why no green would show on either me as the camera or when I screen shared, because I was, using Zoom
Matt,
as
you didn't
my.
pick a good color for video.
Oh man.
That's funny.
So it still worked. It still worked, but it was tricky. Like even the pros were like, they couldn't figure it out while you're live. See, when you're
Yeah.
live or teaching, it's a totally different dynamic than if you're heads down alone trying to figure it out. So
Yeah,
Right.
the stress level is quite different when there's a problem.
yeah.
But the the other consideration about green screen when we're doing this is to think about the contrasting colors, the other colors, even if it's not green, some things won't have enough contrast to really stand out. And I learned that the hard way, as I was mentioning with like tools like Stream Alive and using the green screen feature. And then and it's nothing to do with Stream Alive or Ecamm. It's my color choices, right? I've got orange and yellow are in my background. And so that has an effect. So you just want to make sure that you're using colors that would still offer up enough contrast if you are using green screen. One other thing I wanted to show, and then please you think about questions or anything you want to add. I'm just going to mention what it is in case you guys are familiar, is both Keynote and PowerPoint have a feature where you can add live video feed of yourself inside of Keynote, inside of PowerPoint. And inside of Keynote, I think it's called Live Camera, and inside of PowerPoint, it's called Cameo. Cameo and PowerPoint, Live Camera inside of Keynote. But I just want to add, let's see. David is saying, I tend to just use one or two words via Ecamm floating in my camera feed, not used yet. I try to avoid slide, but this has made me think. Yeah, I know slides are generally kind of like bad words in
Yeah.
terms of engagement, but for those of us who teach, I think it's more the way we use them because anything can be boring or dull and if they're not designed well. But I don't always use slides, certainly not for all of my classes. I wouldn't even say for half my classes, but I like having the different blends of things and being able to have lots of engagement and incorporate dynamic things into the class. And because Keynote is capable of creating so many beautiful things, it's just how you design them. But and even Canva allows you to create such beautiful designs, and we can screen share or camera overlay share those too. So I think it's about having tools, having lots of different tools. And let's see, Matt, is there a perfect hex color for green screen use with Ecamm? I know a lot of green will work, but what is the best color? David, you want to talk about that? I know you dropped the
Yeah.
hex
Oh,
codes
did
in the
you?
chat.
I
I'll
just
scroll
put the
back up.
hex. I just put the hex code for green for chroma key in there. That's what the color green is. Something like that. It doesn't have to be exactly that. I don't know. I use black. For me, I think black or is probably your best bet. It's probably going to pop the most if I had to guess. Or now see, I shouldn't have said something. Or white. I mean, this is white on chroma. See if I have. So you can kind of see both there. Let's see what I have next. I have no idea what's on here. So you can see the black of the little thingy there. Keynote. Oh, yeah. This is a presentation teaching people about the green screen thing.
Well,
And then,
but if you're on a white wall, then you wouldn't put white text. If you had a white wall background.
no, you're right. Thank you, Matt. You're absolutely right because you're right. Hold on. Matt's 100% right. It has nothing to do with the color green. It has everything to do with what's in your background. Thank you.
Got it.
Completely missed that because it's writing on your background. It's not writing on, I mean, it is writing on green, but it's writing on your background. Yeah.
I'm a fan of, 60% gray underneath stuff. So you can still kind of see through it, but it's
Like a little transparency.
yeah.
I
And the
don't disagree at
background.
all.
White text on a 60% gray box.
Just gives it a little more pop.
I go crazy with transparency. I love it. I know it's really hard on computers to render it, but I don't care. I love the look of transparency.
It's got to be getting easier and easier, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so many places are doing it now. Christian says, I love using Google Slides because I have all my teaching research on Google. Yeah, it's very clunky, and I find it loses the flow of the lesson. When you return to the presentation for another app, it's no longer full screen. Yeah. You know what I do, Christian? So let me actually switch. Can I do that? No, get out of this. Sorry. So I was doing this presentation. The one I was showing you before, let me get down to it. So I was doing this guy, and then, so now what I did here, now from here, I wanted to go to if I click on this guy here, it'll take me to this website actually. And because it's full screen, let me say I had this set up better before, but because it's full screen, what it does on a Mac at least is it just it pushes that over. And then if I were logged in properly, I wasn't prepared for this. If I were logged in properly, then it would just bring it up here. And then with a trackpad, I can actually just slide between my Keynote and the web browser.
Oh, no.
And again, because I've got it the way I'm doing it, it's all full screen as a camera share. So that's how I've gotten around that. Because you're right and this will work this should work even with Google Slides. Actually, you know what? Let me open a Google Slides and see if that will work. It should work. Type presentation. Okay, I don't know what any of these are, so let's just choose this one and hope that it's okay. Okay. Fine, go away. I don't want to see what's new. And slideshow. So now I've got that. Yeah, and I can slide between this and wait a second, actually. So interesting, Christian. It takes over the whole browser. I think what I would do in this case is I would have a second browser open. To be perfectly honest with you, I think what I'd do is I would have Safari open. Again, make it full screen. Educators, have my website there, and then I can, in this original one, I can go ahead and go full screen, and now I can slide between my presentation and my website. Yeah, I see. That's frustrating.
That's a good way to approach it too.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. I would use two different browsers.
Can you recap that, David?
Yes, sorry. So what Christian was, I think, and Christian, please jump in if I got this wrong, is that when you're using Google Slides, the challenge is that because it lives in the browser, here, when you go full screen, you kind of lose the rest of your browser. Like you can't access, I guess you could pop this, you could if you don't want to use another browser, you could pop this out as a separate window. So now I've got two, I use Arc, which is a separate type of browser. But so now I've got a couple of different browser windows here. So you could do it this way also. You could have a separate browser window. And then, oh wait, can it? Does that work? Yeah. And then I can access both of them. So either pop the window out, so separate it into, pop the tab out, I should say. So it's a separate
Right.
window, or use a separate monitor, excuse me, a separate browser. And if you have the capacity to have them full screen, you can just swipe. If you're on a laptop, you can, or with a magic trackpad, you can swipe. There's a way to do that on a mouse also. I never remember how to do it. You could swipe between the two, and that should help you out there. But that's a good call, Christian. That is a problem. Yeah.
And then we have one more question where David was asking, do you have any examples of Keynote's animations at all? David, do you mean the features within Keynote that would animate like one effect to another? What those kind of animations? I just want to make sure I understand what you mean. Because if that's the case, yes, I certainly can show you a little something. And Shay is asking, may I ask why you're not using your Keynote presentation to create your Ecamm slides?
That's an OG question, Shay. Is it Shay or Shia?
Let us know.
It's Shay.
Shay.
Okay.
That's an OG question, because that's how we all used to build our slides, our
Okay.
scenes rather, was using Keynote. In the olden days of Ecamm, you couldn't have backgrounds, and you didn't have borders for cameras and all the so building a scene, you couldn't really build a scene like this.
Okay.
In Ecamm natively. And so what we all did is we all went into Keynote, we all built scenes that looked like this, imported them as overlays, and then added our camera. And you had to do this weird thing about getting just the box of my camera transparent, and it was this whole thing. Now you don't need to do that anymore, because it's all built right in to Ecamm. Is that what you were thinking about, or something else, Shay?
No, it's what I was thinking about, because to be honest, that's how I do it.
Right. So
'Cause I will just, like, you just pull this Keynote slide. I build the presentation in Keynote. I don't use a lot of the motion and, that kind of animation. And I just pull it over. You know how you can click on the Keynote slide, slide it over, it copies right over. When I have the slides where I want my camera, I just turn that into a ping and make the section where the camera would be transparent and put the Keynote over it. So I know that's work. I get that part. But my question is it easier on the computer if you do it that way than when you have multiple browsers open?
So if you're bringing it sounds to me, if I understood you correctly, that you're bringing Keynote in as a set of individual image files.
Correct. And it's
Right.
very easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can just scroll through those. You can absolutely
Exactly.
do that. Easy peasy. If you do it that way, which is great, you don't get any of the animations. That's what you lose out.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And I'll just stop there. Yeah, that there's zero wrong with the way that you're doing it. Is it easier on your computer? Probably. To not have Keynote open also? Probably. The less you can have going into your computer. That's why I use two different computers. That's why I use an old computer as a content computer, so that I can offload that. But yeah,
Gotcha.
what you're suggesting makes perfect sense.
And
Okay.
Shay, that is an option for me, because I would lose the animation and the focus on one image or one idea at a time, and I would also lose my notes or certain things that I've referenced. That's why for me, I would rather use Keynote than to export it as image files and bring that into
Okay.
Ecamm. But it's really about finding the flow and the workflow that works for you, right? Whatever that is. But it's all about presenting options, and that is a valid option.
Okay.
By the way, David just mentioned, I kind of can't believe that we haven't mentioned this yet, Canva slides also. And if you haven't yet, I'm going to show
We've
you
talked
all.
it. We've mentioned them.
Yeah. But I want to show you all. So Canva just had its big Canva Unpacked
Yep.
event. And there is a trick. I'm trying to see if I can't see. I already did it, so I can't show you. But there, when you first go into Canva, if you haven't unlocked this yet, up at the top here, you'll see a large banner that will say Canva Unpacked or what, or Uncharted or whatever the heck it was. And there are little presents on either side. Click on all those presents, and that will get you into all the new features that they have, including Canva AI, Canva Sheets, and all that other good stuff. So just, if you haven't yet, click on all those presents on either side, and hopefully that will get you in. But yes,
I saw a video about it, and I saw little snippets that they posted on Instagram about it. So I just clicked my envelopes, and I am now person 471,373 to unlock the wonder.
right. And yes, the presentations here in Canva also, that's also a fantastic tool. Adobe Express has better royalty-free photos. Nice. Yeah, Canva desktop app, it remains full screen even when you return to it. There you go. Canva desktop app versus the web version. Yeah.
Yep, I think Canva's a great option too. I myself like Canva's look and style. Their animation features have gotten a lot better this past year. So that's why I mentioned Canva is also a great option. There's another one called Genially, Genially. I haven't it's got some cool games. It's given me a lot of good ideas. I haven't really dived into it because again, it's like you only need a couple of tools. It's hard to navigate too many tools, but
What I
one
found, I end up, my workflow is usually that I create my uh, image elements over in Canva, and then I bring them in and I do the presentation over in Keynote, right? So this image that I created, this is all in Canva. They were created in Canva, but then I bring them over into this. The little people I created in Canva, and then I brought them over here. I find that the kerning over here, the quality in Keynote, the it's just, I mean, it's just better than anything else out there. I
yeah,
really.
and David brings up a good point that if you're a nonprofit, Canva Teams is free for 50 of the people in your team, but also there is also a free educator account. So if you can apply and verify as an educator, I have a free Canva account that I can use with my students and things. So Canva is pretty generous when it comes to those kinds of things too. So if you can verify that you're an educator, you will also get a free Canva account. And I did
I'd pay for it every day of the week. It's
yeah,
worth
after
it.
using it, I would say, yeah,
Yeah.
this is a really great tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Christian is saying he's had success using the Canva desktop app. You already said that, didn't you, David?
Yeah, sorry.
You mentioned that. I just wanted to make sure I'm catching up with everybody's comments. So we got Matt, and then David is saying Keynote is a fresh discovery. So great, fantastic. Glad to hear that. And Shay, you also got some love about the frame around your camera.
Thank you.
Tim likes that. Tim enjoys that. So, somebody asked about some like what kind of little transition things are possible inside of Keynote. There's a ton. My personal stance on those is you only need a little bit. A lot of the stuff is like a little bit too much. So I'll just show you some of my style of animation. Again, I think that there's space to be able to do these things in lots of different and fun ways, but here is a Canva presentation. So just enter this here. So I'm actually going to be teaching this lesson next week in my class, special occasion speaking, and it does that little, swooshing in and then a little comment. I programmed it for all of this stuff to happen. And then some of it is just appearing. Like these are simple appear, but you can also do dissolves from page to page. Okay, these are pretty pretty simple little things, but like I have that little center thing pop up, the challenge roadmap. I can do little things like that. There's a ton that's possible. And I did want to show you if you ever wanted to learn and add a live camera over this. So let me just hide that second Keynote. But if you go to Insert in Keynote, there's live video. So this is essentially adding in a camera, right? And then it's picked maybe the last one I did or something, but the menu here, live video menu, was where you can choose which camera you want to add. So I'm going to add see, my Logitech should be connected. Or I could add Ecamm. So let me just add Ecamm as a virtual camera. And Ecamm. Add it. And now we're getting the infinity effect because I'm on here. And you can move it and size it, crop it, zoom in a bit if you need to. So now when I play this in a window, I'm essentially in my camera here. So for those of you teaching virtually or presenting virtually, this could be a helpful feature if you wanted to bring, or if you have a different camera, you can bring this in as well. But Ecamm is capable of doing these things too. I just wanted to show you, like for myself, my students aren't all gonna go buy Ecamm. College students aren't gonna go do this. So I like to show them lots of different options, but PowerPoint has this as well. And again, it's called Cameo inside of inside PowerPoint. So you can definitely play around with some of these things and see what you think. But for me as an educator, Keynote and Ecamm really are an excellent pairing. It's something that I use together pretty regularly. Zoom, Ecamm, and Keynote, I'm going to say, are pretty top three for sure when it comes to teaching. So I know we're at time here, guys, and I personally do have to run now. Usually a lot of us are able to stay and hang out afterwards as well.
I can
I just
hang if
wanted
anyone wants to stick around.
Thanks, David. So I just wanted to say I hope that this is helpful to you and that you get some chance to play. Don't stay in listening mode. You got to open the stuff up, try it, and see. But also don't feel pressure. If you have something that works really well for you, then maybe you don't need. But I think it's always great to know your options and know your possibilities and expand. And if anybody wants to talk more specifically, just let me know. You can reach out to me on, actually, I'll just put all the ways that you can get in touch with me on here. And then likewise, any of you. All right, here's all the ways to get in touch with me. By the way, that's one Stream Deck button. I press one button, they all pop in there as an easy shortcut, so I don't have to go hunting or copy pasting. And thank you all for your participation. And we meet every month, so same time, the third Tuesday of the month at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we usually hang for about an hour and 15 minutes or so. And what would you guys like to talk about next month? Let me know what your thoughts are. It's always a group discussion, a group conversation. See, next month is May, so we're heading into spring. But feel free to let me know some thoughts and ideas for next month.
Oh, someone should have met. We didn't mention Prezi. Christian just put Prezi in. That's another great option.
Yeah, that used to be very popular and then became a bit clunky and slow. Maybe they've resolved all their stuff because they are still around. Still around. So if you guys decide on a topic for next month, David, keep me posted.
Yeah. I will.
Have fun, guys. I gotta run. Have
all
a
right,
great,
see you later.
great couple weeks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Someone was asking about Google. Dave, was that you or Matt? That was you, right?
Google Slides.
Yeah.
I like Google Slides. I don't think it has as much animation stuff in it, but it's all in the cloud and it's part of
Doesn't have as much anything in it yet.
Well,
but it's okay. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a Google guy. I live in the Googleverse. But they did just add, I don't know if I'm just the only one who got this, but Imagine which is their image generation is now embedded
Oh,
right in here.
fun. Okay. That's
So
neat.
now I can say, a cool guy working at a computer with a cup of coffee on the desk. And then I can ask it to make that for me.
Google Slides, it's sort of like the no frills version, but
Yeah,
it is capable.
always found that it's fine. If here's oh, there you go. So let's see what I got here. It's actually not bad.
But is he cool?
I think he looks pretty cool.
The hair. I think the
Oh,
hair
yeah.
makes him cool. I don't have hair like that.
All of these guys look better than I do. That's the only thing that I know. They're all cooler looking than me. These are actually really good. God, this image generation has gotten so good. The thing for the reason that I moved away from Google Slides, I think, is because, and I guess you can blame Canva for this, but because I want to use my slides as visual tools, they have to look really, really good visually. And I just find it's easier to get that done in Keynote than in Google Slides.
Yeah, sure.
That's
They're
all.
both free. You, I like that.
And they're absolutely, they're both free for sure.
Very good. All right. Well,
Right.
I'm going to jump. It was good hanging for a little bit.
Yeah, you too.
I'll try and catch more of these.
You got
If
it.
anyone
Talk
needs
to you
anything
later.
from me, just let me know. I know a lot about
Just
a lot
bug
of
Matt.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm around.
Slides go. Christian says Prezi can be too much visual stimulation for pupils. It's interesting. What I love about, I have a couple of things that I created on Prezi, but I never use them as presentations. I use them as, I have no idea what my login is. I did them so long ago.
I have to say razzmatazz more in general conversation.
Yes, razzmatazz is a great word.
Here
Here it is. The things that are these mine? I don't even know what these are.
Somebody's library.
This is someone's library. These do not look like mine though. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. My collection.
Your
See.
alter ego made them. No,
I must be in a different account. In any case, I use them for self-driving or choose your own adventures, so that you send people the link and then people can click around themselves. But the other thing to remember about Prezi or any of these tools is that the more motion that's on your screen, the more difficult Zoom or any video conferencing tool is going to have with it, because you're asking a lot more when there's movement going on. It's also much more distracting. So I think you're right, Christian. Slides go.
yes.
used to
So I
use
had
slides
I had a question about that. With the advent of the M chips, with silicone chips by Apple,
Yep.
M1, M2, M3, M4 now. I mean, I think some of those issues are mitigated by how powerful these machines actually are.
Yeah, I don't think it's the presenter machine that's the issue. I think it's for on the receiving end.
Mm.
I don't. I'm not a pro at this, but I think that basically there are two factors for Zoom. For example, there's what's the sharpness called? I just blanked on the word. The sharpness of the image. Come on, guys, help me out here.
Use saturation of sharpness.
No, like how sharp an image is. The
Pixels.
pixel
bit rate?
density. No, I can't remember.
Resolution.
Yes, there's resolution and frame rate. Thank you. Those are the two. So in what we're doing right now with just this, it's prioritizing bit rate or motion, right? Because it assumes that I'm a human being and I'm going to move. So it deprecates the resolution just a little bit so that I look fluid and movie. When you do a screen share, it flip-flops that. And so you can have really good resolution, but your frame rate may not be quite, I said bit rate before I meant frame rate. Your frame rate may not be as smooth. And the reason Zoom does that is because both of those pieces of the puzzle take up bandwidth, both internet bandwidth and computer bandwidth. And so it chooses to prioritize one or the other. So if you're doing kind of both, if you're pushing 4K resolution or 1080p resolution, and you've got things moving in the background, that can just be really taxing on your bandwidth.
I think of it this way. If it's a screen share, it doesn't have to redraw parts of the screen that are still. It only
Right.
sends it once. Whereas a camera, every frame is potentially a different pixel color. But you can see that in Ecamm. It'll show you your bandwidth. And if you have something moving on screen, you'll see that it takes up more bandwidth. But you're right. The M chips and the high bandwidth connections make that kind of a moot point from a technical point of view. It's just the visual noise of the viewer that could be distracting. If you follow traditional television, you'll notice something's always moving, but it's very subtle. It's never usually like if there's a talking head and there's a banner or something, there might be a slow animation in the background. It's never like,
Yeah.
race cars or anything like that.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
That's good. So I have one more question. The TTG meters over
Yes.
here, what is that?
So I have another computer running over here, and this is actually running using, hell is that app? It's using audio hijack. So I've got they're called WLM meters, and whenever I'm doing a show or a meeting or anything like that, I bring them in so that everyone can try and be around the same volume. So I always shoot for between 20 to 24 LUFS on the left-hand side there. You can see how you get a green check mark when you hit 24. So that's what that is. So it's just a different computer that I brought in. I'm actually in this meeting 4 times right now. Am I in here 4? No, 3 times. Sorry. I'm in here as TTG meters, TTG productions, which is allowing me to spotlight. I haven't actually done it, but hypothetically, I could spotlight or unspotlight people using that. And then I'm in here just as my main machine. But that's what those
So if
meters
my
are.
audio is going, those reflect my audio.
Correct. It's listening to everyone in the meeting.
But can you pull down or push up different members, or this is just a reporting tool?
It's a reporting tool. That's
Got it.
exactly right. It's a report. So usually if I'm doing a show, I'll put this up ahead of time and everyone will speak and they'll adjust their own audio so that we can all be around the same place.
See, that's a great idea because some hosts are better at that than others for
And
tweaking
actually-
guest audio.
And actually, it's not going to work in this meeting, but you can now do this natively in Ecamm. So I have, let me see if I can pull it up. Will that work? Yeah. So you're only going to hear you're only going to see my audio because I don't have it. Actually, wait, maybe I will hear all of yours. Say something.
Check 1, check 2. Hello, syllabus.
Oh yeah.
Big
I don't even know
brown
why I came in here with this other machine. I didn't really need to do that. So this is built into Ecamm now. You can, let me see if I can fix this so that it's in the right place. If you go to, see, now I need to move it over. Hold on. I didn't have it set up ahead of time. I apologize. Oh, it's a little better. If you go into your audio filters, there's a new panel called audio filters. So here, I'll bring that up for you. So this is audio filters down here. And if you have this built in, if you have this WLM meters built in, if you don't, you can use something else, but I use WLM meters. It'll find it. You can apply it to the entire mix or to specific channels. I do the entire mix. And now I've got, just before every show, I don't even need to use that other computer. I can just pull it up as an overlay. Everyone can check their audio and then
So is that a plugin? Do you add a plugin for W?
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And that's a third party. That's not on the pick list.
WLM meters? No, that's for WLM meters is from something. What is it from? WLM meters. It's from Waves. Here, I'll pop the link in here.
Waves WLM plus loudness meters.
Yeah. There you go. Which has better resolution, a screen share of a presentation or sharing the presentation as a camera in Zoom? Definitely a screen share does. There's no doubt about that. If you're screen sharing natively in Zoom, you're always going to get the best resolution using that. Unfortunately, then you disappear. But that's why what some people do is they'll come over in Keynote. Let me open up this Keynote again, and they will, well, let's go down here, and they will add live video, and then they'll put themselves into the presentation as a live video, right? Using just the camera. I'm on a different computer here, so using just the camera, and then what you can do is you can, when you go live with this, you can screen share this into Zoom, right? So if I go, I'll turn my, let me turn that off, sorry. Right, so I could screen share this into Zoom or anything else that I create, which means that I won't disappear. I'll still be a part of the presentation. So that's the kind of a hack to keep the best resolution, but still not have yourself disappear in.
Thank you.
Yeah. That for me is always the pain point is that I don't want to disappear as the speaker. Cool.
Yeah,
The reason
I think I need to give this WLM meters to some of my friends who bring me on their show because the audio is all over the place.
So another thing you could do, by the way, is if you go to I can't do it right now because I'm in a Zoom, but if any of you are familiar with officehours.global, that's a community that I'm a part of. It's a community of production specialists and expert event planners and stuff like that. They have officehours.global. If you sign up, you'll get a link. In addition to a show that they do every day, they have a 24-hour Zoom meeting that's open. And there are always meters in there. So you can always just pop in and just test your audio for meters. You can also ask questions there, things like that. But yeah, having meters is a great little tool.
I love it.
So,
all right, folks, I'm going to jump out.
Bye,
Thank
Matt.
you, David. Thank
See
you,
you later.
team. Stay awesome.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, David. I was watching those meters all the show. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
So
I got confused before we started. I should have brought them in just in this meeting. The reason I have them over here is because there's I run another meeting called another show called the Zoom Test Kitchen, and for that I use vanilla Zoom. I use just the vanilla Zoom because that's where the whole point of it is to bang on Zoom, not on Ecamm, and so that's why I have that over here for that meeting. But for everything that I use Ecamm for, it's built right in, which is amazing.
So I see that we're going live to Zoom, but I didn't get the notification that we were running.
That we're doing what? I'm
live
sorry?
to YouTube.
Yes.
Are you running that YouTube stream?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so we stream this meeting every month out to our YouTube channel just so that we have our recording of all of our meetings.
Sure.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
Awesome. All right, guys. It looks like
Thank you for the information on the metering. I've just started working with interviewing other educators in my field. and doing interviews. And I'm one of those people where my audio with them is all over the place. So
Yeah.
I really need help with that.
You know what? This is a good starting point. There are some places that I'll go where they're really strict. Like you have to hit a certain number. I'm not strict, but like, if you're in the 30s, you're too low. Bring your mic close. That's the other thing. People sometimes think that you need some great audio skills. No, you sometimes just need to move closer to your microphone. It's that simple. So, in any case, all right, I think we'll call it today. Jan,
One
good to
last
have
question.
you here. Oh, yeah.
Can you recommend any educational resources for me to learn more about the audio with interviewing for live streams?
Oh, boy. That is absolutely not my area. You know who I look to a lot? I don't know if he has courses, but Tom Buck.
Oh, I know Tom Buck. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an audio master. I think if I were wanting to learn more about audio, and I don't because it scares me, but I think if I wanted to, the first thing I might do is go back and look through some of his videos and see if he has some things that are applicable, because he's really, really good at that stuff.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. All right, everyone.